YouTube. YouTube. Okay, and here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Just finished watching the press conference between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury to the rematch, which happens this Saturday night, February 22nd, on BT Sports, ESPN, and Fox. So we have in the room with us now, he's just finished training DILLIAN WHYTE. We have the trainer and the man behind IQ Boxing, Mr. Xavier Miller. Xavier, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, Edward. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you back on the show as always. So, Xavier, you've let us know what's been going with you recently.
Recently, just been getting a few of my fighters ready for their upcoming fights. I've got shows on the 7th of March, the 14th of March, and the 21st of March.
Okay.
And then April or May, DILLIAN WHYTE's fight. So, been really busy in training camps. Everybody's sparring at the moment. And yeah, they're all looking good.
Fantastic. Is there any names in particular you'd like to tell us about or let us know what's going on?
I suppose it'd be fair to mention the one that's actually involved in title fights, which
Yes.
is K. Sure to Prosper from Luton. He's defending his English title in his hometown, and that's on the 7th of March.
Fantastic.
Against Bilal Raymond, 6'1", 6'2", super lightweight. So it's going to be an interesting fight. And also, the Menace Wahome will be challenging Dillian for his for the vacant super featherweight title, and that will be on the 21st of March.
Okay.
The other four boxers are just doing 4 rounds or 6 rounds at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. So let's talk about the man you were training earlier on, DILLIAN WHYTE. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, Dillian's. I mean, since we got back from Saudi, the whole idea was to make sure before we actually get into camp, to get there in reasonable shape. He's already looking really good. We're just working on a few things here and there technically, and although he wasn't happy with his performance against WAC, watching it back, I said to him, there are things to like. Obviously, you were too heavy, but technically there were things to like, and we just move on from there and just get ready for Vecchio.
What were the things that you saw in the VAC fight that pleased you?
Right. I'd say the main thing was patience. When he did land 1 or 2 shots, he was quite composed when he went in for his second or third phase. He used the jab really well. defensively he was good at times, but you can't be at your best in any aspects of boxing unless you're at the weight you should be at. He knows that. He had really late notice for the fight. WHYTE didn't. WHYTE was already preparing for a fight, so and we actually found out late. I wasn't even sure if Dillian was actually even going to get a fight towards the end of last year because of everything that had happened. But the most important thing was that he got out, and he won 9 rounds out of the 10. So we'll move on to the next.
So, what, as a trainer and as trainer of Dillian Whyte, what do you see Dillian's doing more of that resembles what you want of him?
Well, obviously, I'm part of Team WHYTE. His head trainer is Mark Tibbs.
Yes.
Spoken to Mark about a couple of things I'd like to work on with Dillian. And me and Mark have really just gelled really, really well from the beginning. I mean, I'd like Dillian to use his jab a bit more. Dillian is very, very cute inside. Obviously, everybody knows how great a body puncher he is, how good he is with that left hook. I'd like to develop that right hand a bit more. He's got a very good right hand. I'd like him to use it. Just those sort of things, really, and just the normal day-to-day. Boxers should be in the gym every day. They should be working on their footwork. They should be working on their hand placement. They should be working on their counter punching. Should be working on range, distance, and that's what we've been doing.
So, okay, a Povetkin fight. How do you prepare for Povetkin in the sense that, well, okay, he fought Hughie Fury, and he beat Hughie Fury. But people thought, well, when he beat Hughie Fury, there were gaps. People thought, no, Povetkin looks on his way out. Then he fights Michael Hunter in a very entertaining fight. And now there's the Dillian Whyte fight. How do you gauge what Povetkin's got left versus what you need to be doing in camp?
In my personal opinion, I think Povetkin's still got a lot left. Povetkin's only been beaten by Klitschko and Joshua. He's still a very dangerous fighter. He had a really rough start against in his last fight, Hunter, but he came on strong. And if it's an aging fighter, then you're looking for them to really start slowing down toward the end of the fight, not picking it up. And really, he was starting to pick up rounds, and he was a strong fighter toward the end. So he obviously still has a lot left. Maybe it was a speed factor with Hunter, him coming up in weight. Povetkin's not the fastest guy in the world, but he is solid. He is solid, and he's been around a while. So as I say with all my boxers, you should focus more on making sure that you are doing the right things, not so much looking for holes in your opponent. If you're doing what you should be doing, then you will function on the night. Because as much as I can tell a fighter, well, that boxer does that wrong, so you can capitalise here, they might look completely different against you. So you need to make sure you're all right. You're doing the right things. You're being defensively responsible. You're controlling range. I think that's the most important thing for any fighter.
Okay, the argument between, Povetkin being old and Ortiz being old, the Ortiz conversation always seems to come up. And I really don't see how Dillian Whyte wins this conversation, because if he knocks Ortiz out, we'll say, well, Wilder's done it anyway. And if he gets beat by Ortiz, well, they'll say, oh, Dillian Whyte weren't that great anyway. So it's not a conversation that he can win, is it?
Well, I would say that maybe a couple of years ago, it's a more interesting conversation. But now Ortiz has had 2 cracks at world title with Wilder, and he's been stopped both times, even though he's done really well. I would say that at this stage, probably Povetkin's probably a better fight, unless Ortiz had come back and got a victory in between. I think Povetkin's a better fight. He's coming off a draw, and as I say, his CV is a lot better than Ortiz.
Luis Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz. For me, I've picked Andy Ruiz to beat Luis Ortiz. What are your thoughts on that fight?
it's a hard one. Before Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua, um, as much as everybody was saying, well, we knew that Andy was a good fighter. It was a case of what had he really done before that. Um, so it's hard for me to say how good Andy Ruiz can actually be. I don't know. Um, did he just have a very good night against Joshua the first time round, and then second time, he did. I was there. I saw it live. Yes, it was a big ring, but he looked very, very slow with his feet. He was never really going to get into range. This was a better Joshua, a more intelligent Joshua, and I think if you do use your feet and you do use distance and range with Andy Ruiz, I think that's probably the best way to beat him. For him to have any real joy, you have to stand right in front of him. And Ortiz is a good boxer. So I think it's a very good fight. I'm not sure. They're both coming off losses, and Andy Ruiz was absolutely terrible. Ortiz was quite good, was good until he got stopped. It's a 50-50 fight.
But Ruiz, okay, if you look at the shape Ruiz was in when he fought Parker and the work rate he put on against Parker compared to the non-event he had against Joshua, I didn't think that was a fight Ruiz could win in the end because they built the stadium. It wasn't for Ruiz, they built it for Joshua. It all seemed like everything was built for Joshua.
Maybe, but again, even when Andy Ruiz fought Joseph Parker, they were just knocking lumps of each other. It's like he didn't really have to find Parker too much. If you stand right in front of Andy Ruiz, he's got quick hands, puts shots together really well. So you're giving him a chance. If you don't do that, then he looks pretty ordinary. I'm not sure how well he'd do against Ortiz. It really is. It depends which one recovers better from a loss.
Okay. All right. Why is Dillian White always fighting the top guys in the division? What is that about?
I've heard Dillian say this before, and I actually agree with him. He likes to test himself against guys who have either been world champions or ex-Olympians or had a lot of amateur fights, because he feels, well, if I beat you, then I've basically taken what you've got, and that's how he seems to have built his career since the Joshua fight, and taking on tough challenges. And I think he's actually doing the right thing in prep to fight for a world title. I think fighting, fighters that really are not on the level of the guys he's been fighting wouldn't prep you for a world title fight. I know some people would say the argument would be, well, he's taking a risk. Well, isn't it better to fight the Wilder, Fury, and Joshua of the world, coming off tough fights, competitive fights, respectable fights, rather than fights that are just gimmicks. So I completely agree with what he's done. If he's not good enough to beat those guys, and maybe in his mind, then he wouldn't be good enough to challenge for a world title. But he has beaten them, and he deserves a lot of credit. He's beaten Joseph Parker. Deserves a lot of credit. Rivas, again, he said it was going to be a nightmare, and again he's beaten another good contender. So, to me, he's going down the right. He's doing everything he should do. Someone who actually wants to win a world title.
Okay. I'm gonna a fantasy fight. I'm a promoter, and I'm promoting this fight in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. And it's a backyard fight. That's the name of the promotion, backyard,
Right.
and it's Dillian White versus Donovan Razor Ruddock. Who wins?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The,
Prime would have to do
the smash,
I just,
the smash versus the left hook.
yeah, I just think that I think Dillian can do more. I really like Razor because he was always in fun fights. That left hook was unbelievable at times. But he did get hit a lot. I liked him in the Tyson fight. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's the guy I want. I want that Razor Ruddock before he fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That Razor Ruddock versus
Okay,
Dillian
that's
White.
the one you're talking about.
Yes, not the one that fought Tommy Morrison, or the stupid one that fought Lennox
Okay.
Lewis.
Okay. You're talking about the one, the up and coming one that was on fire that was
Yeah,
talking about
I don't know what he saw
fight
at
with
Lennox
my man, the
Lewis's
whole
stomach.
field and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what he was looking at Lennox Lewis's stomach. Maybe he saw something nice down there, but I ain't got no idea why he threw that jab. Up to this day, I still don't know why that guy threw the left jab. Because that was the
Uh,
beginning of the end.
no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I'll definitely go. I'll go with Dillian in that fight. Definitely.
So
Dillian will have it with anybody. Everybody knows that. And he does throw it. And Dillian throws his left hook a bit shorter than Razor. So I would definitely pick Dillian.
I would love to be at that press conference.
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
let me give you one more. Let me give you one more fantasy fight. Dillian
Okay.
White. Sorry, I've got to do this. Dillian White versus Gary Mason.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing. Because they're just going to stand right in front of each other. And I love Gary. I thought Gary was a soldier, good chin, the heart in the world. It's the kind of similar characteristics in some
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
But again, Dillian to me is more versatile. He's more versatile than Gary. I would have gone
Wow. Wow.
for Dillian.
Bruno versus White.
uh, and again, I like Bruno, but again, he just doesn't recover from a shot very well. He's got actually one of my old coaches actually sparred Frank Bruno said that when Bruno hit him with a jab, it felt like a straight right hand,
Yep.
like a broomstick. But yeah, again, I would go for Bruno definitely.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Right. So, Wilder versus Fury 2. What were your thoughts going into the first fight?
Um, in the first fight, I actually thought Wilder would knock him out because I didn't think Fury had the right type of prep going into a fight with Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
So I was quite impressed with the way Fury was able to box, and his feints were really offsetting Wilder, and he hit Wilder with a lot of good clean shots. So I was impressed with him, even though I had the fight a draw. I didn't have a problem with the fight a draw at all. You have to do so much when you're down 2 knockdowns. So yeah, I had it a draw.
Okay. So, the changes. Sugar Hill, the Cutman, the soaking your hands in gasoline, the masturbating 7 times a day.
Jesus.
Yeah, well, this is part of his training camp. We've got to mention this. And what else? Yeah, and now he's coming out all guns blazing, and he's gonna knock Wilder out in 2 rounds. So that's the strategy. What's your thoughts on all of that?
That's my thoughts. The changes, I haven't got a problem with him. I think he's looking a bit more experienced, which is fine. I think it would have been a good idea for Ben Davison to have, you know, stayed within the camp. Um, sometimes for a big fight, it's good to have more eyes. And if Tyson felt comfortable going back to the CrossFit gym, then really, I would have suggested that he just stay with the team and get through this fight and then see what happens next. But I think at this stage in Fury's career, I don't think the change is going to make that much of a difference. He's going to box in a similar way. I think it's interesting that he said that he wants to knock Deontay Wilder out. And in some ways, I think that some of the things he said, I think he's right. What you don't want to do with Wilder, really, especially too often, is stay on the end of his punches. Mm-hmm. If you're a bit closer to him, he's got long limbs, long arms. He's not as dangerous up close. So I hear what Tyson's saying, and Tyson is very, very elusive. So he might find a better opportunity or a better angle to learn the kind of shots he wants to learn. At the same time, I don't know why I'm going with this, but I've got Wilder on points in this fight.
Wow, Wilder on points.
Yeah, Wilder on points. I think he's going to knock Fury down a couple of times, and I think he's going to have a. I think he'll win more rounds than he did last time. He did drop a lot of rounds. If he knocks him down twice and he's able to win, 4 of the next 10, he'll get the verdict. I'm going for Wilder. I know everybody's going for the obvious, Fury on points or Wilder by knockout. That's just a little bit too easy. I think they'll both be a little more cautious. Obviously Fury has to be cautious because of the power, and Wilder will be a little bit more respectful because I think he realises how good a boxer Tyson Fury is. So I think they're going to stand up a little bit more than what people think, which will make the rounds a little bit closer. I do see Wilder hurting Fury again. There's nothing to suggest that Fury won't get up. Done it before. And I'm going for Wilder on points.
Okay. I said the last time that Luis Ortiz and Wilder fought, I said to people in the rematch, I said, wait until Wilder catches him. This time around, he won't get up. And I have a similar feeling that was going to happen with Fury this time, because I think Wilder's going to actually catch him with the right hand this time, as opposed to last time, he didn't catch him with the right hand, he caught him with left hooks. This time, I think he'll catch him with the right hand.
I agree. I think if he finishes on the right hand this time, it could be
curtains. You see, for me, between the two of them, only one of those guys can be electric, and that's Wilder. I've never seen a fight where Fury's looked electric.
No, that's true. That's true.
He's got a gear, Deontay Wilder.
He does.
That is unlike any other heavyweight in the division.
Yeah, it's true, and he's becoming very patient, isn't he?
Yeah.
Although Deontay Wilder's wild, he's this, he's that. Doesn't look that wild anymore.
He don't look wild anymore.
Looks a bit more calculated now.
To me, and I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people keep talking about this wild stuff, but it's quite funny. They talk about all the wild stuff and how it was a boxing masterclass from Fury, but I've never seen a masterclass with a guy looking up at the lights twice. I've never seen that with his eyes shut. I've never seen a masterclass like that. I've seen masterclasses, but that's not a masterclass to me. But hey, who am I?
I agree with you 100%. He boxed well in stages.
He boxed well.
He had very good moments during that fight. Even his straight right hand was landing bang on. At times he looked really good, and other times, for a tall man, he was putting his body in some strange, very dangerous positions. So you just don't. With Fury, you can call it. You don't know what you're going to get with him. Even when the other day I was to an interview, he said that he's going to finish his career fighting in Vegas, and then a couple of days later he said, "Right, I'm going to fight in England."
You see, I don't listen to Fury. That one I've told people a long time ago, don't listen to Fury, because today Fury will tell you that television set is black, and tomorrow he'll come back and tell you that television set is blue, and then the next day I'll come back and say I never said it was black or blue, it's green. Don't listen to Fury. Don't listen to Fury. Fury, you chop and change all the time. The one thing about Fury that is surefire in his career, which is synonymous with him, is that he loses concentration.
Yes, he does.
That's how he got nailed. Some point in the fight.
Though, because he's so big and so heavy. It can't be easy to put a man down that sort of size. But he gets knocked down, he gets up, and he always has. He always has got up.
So talk to me about this weight. I mean, he's talking about putting more weight on Fury, coming in much heavier. How does that affect him?
I don't think some boxers feel that when they're heavier, they can absorb more punishment. Some boxers do feel that way.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
I think it's based on the individual. I don't think that works for everybody. It might well work for him. Some boxers don't look the same when they lose a lot of weight too. I remember when James Toney had his rematch with Samuel Peter. He looked terrible in comparison to the first fight. And he trained completely different for the second fight. He lost weight, he eaten all the right things, and he looked flat. So it's based on the fighter. I think that my worry with Tyson is that he one minute he seems to love boxing and he wants to box and he wants to win title with Black and he wants to have this many fights, and the next minute he doesn't seem interested in boxing anymore.
There you go.
And I go along with the guy who is
Consistent.
usually.
Consistency. That's why I keep telling fight fans. It's consistency, consistency, consistency. And I like the consistent guy. Sticks with the same trainer. You know, consistent. The chopping, the changing, the weight moving up and down. But too much inconsistency.
Yeah, it's a worry. When I hear fighters doing that, it's a worry. I think it's a good thing sometimes in camp.
Yes.
To add, like
Yes.
what Joshua did in his camp, he didn't
Yes.
get rid of anybody, but he added another dimension. I think that's a good idea.
Can I get a two-time? Can I get a two-time?
Absolutely. Congratulations to that man. Congratulations to that man. People say it was negative, but belts are back over here, aren't they? So more power to
Absolutely.
him.
Absolutely. It was so nice. I did it twice.
It was a good feeling. It was a good feeling out there. It was a good trip.
I'm sure it was. So, what do you think of Wilder putting on extra weight? Talked about coming in 225, 230, which is something that James Ellie Bashir thinks that if Wilder came with a little bit more weight with his frame, he would be even more devastating.
Yeah, I don't think it was that Wilder, because you see the thing with Wilder is that it looks like healthy weight.
Yes.
So in comparison to boxers who put on additional weight, like with Amir Khan when he fought Canelo, you could see physically that weight was going to catch up to him because it didn't look like natural weight.
Yeah.
He would have been better off coming in his natural weight, like what Floyd does. You know, Floyd doesn't mind giving away weight because he focuses more on how he feels.
Yeah.
Not trying to match somebody's weight because they're heavy. I think just coming in heavy for the sake of coming in heavier, can be a problem. But again, these are heavyweights, and I don't know where Tyson says his best weight is, or where Deontay Wilder says his best weight is. I'm not sure. I think they both have. Even though they've had fantastic careers because they're both undefeated. Their fights seesaw back and forth. They have really good moments, then they look flat. Even with Wilder, he was losing God knows how many rounds against Ortiz. Yes, it was worked out perfectly in the end, but it's a risky policy to just assume because cats only do one punch. So again, it's just these two. That's what makes it interesting.
Interesting. So, these two guys, are they the best heavyweights in the world?
I would say yes at this stage.
Okay,
I
so
would say yes.
is it 1, 2, 3? Wilder, Fury, Wilder, Joshua?
I've got Wilder, Fury, Joshua, and DILLIAN.
4.
I think that's the top 4. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fair.
If you were going to visualize which fight Dillian would get between Wilder, Fury, and Joshua, which one do you think you'd get first?
I honestly think it's Wilder fight. If Wilder wins this fight and Tyson Fury does agree to have a third fight, okay, that's fine. That can still get done this year, but I think they will have to honour, because the WBC has said by January 2021, isn't it? That they'd have to agree to fight Dillian.
Okay.
The WBC belt. Then I see that. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, but all right, fair enough.
What do you think?
I think Joshua should fight White again in a rematch. Personally,
We all want that. We all want that.
I think that's the thing for me. While I'm at it, while we're talking about things, can you give us any insight into why the Chisora Usyk fight got didn't happen? I know there was an injury, but I was thinking there was something else in there.
it's not an injury again, and I heard it's a recurring injury, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
going to be I don't know what's going to do with that fight now. This 1 minute I think it's going to be April, then it's going to be in May, and then it's off, then it's on. I don't know any more than you guys.
Okay. All right. Daniel Dubois versus George Joyce.
Absolutely love this fight.
Really?
I love this fight. I like the timing of it. It's not as big as Joshua v. Dillian, but I see where they're coming from.
How about
It's
Mason? How about Mason versus Lewis?
Yeah, you get that feel as well. It's the right time for this kind of fight. It's the right time, and it's the winner obviously goes on, but it doesn't. The loser can still build and come again. These fights need to happen.
Let me ask you a question, truthfully, right? How does Fujimoto prepare you to fight Joe Joyce?
It doesn't.
Okay, so
I'm having a similar issue right now. One of my boxers. I'm trying to arrange a date for them. But they've got a date and an opponent, and I'm talking to different matchmakers. I'm telling them I don't want another journeyman because we've done that already. I'm trying to prepare this boxer for a shot at a title. So I'd rather have somebody with more of a 50-50 record or 40, someone that's coming with ambition so he can help prepare my boxer for a title. I think Joe Joyce has had much better fights preparing for
absolutely
than Dubois prepared for Joyce. I think that's what makes the fight interesting.
I think Dubois has been thrown in over his head. Personally, I don't think there's anything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything he's done as an amateur or as a pro to suggest he beats Joe Joyce. Nothing.
I don't mind having a bit of a side bit on that one.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. I'm going to go for
Dubois. Yeah.
I'm going with Joyce. I'm going with Joyce, and I'll tell you why I'm going with Joyce. Joyce has fought the better opposition as an amateur and a pro. Joyce is a man. Dubois is a boy. The other thing I look at, and he really is a boy, I believe that Dubois is going to get hit back in this fight, and he's had it all his career so far, where he's had a situation where he's hit a guy, the guy's gone over. The one guy that actually tried to hit him back, which was Latte, he didn't like it. He did not like it. His reaction wasn't great to it, and he panicked. Here's a guy, Joe Joyce, who's been hit by the same guy that hit a Jagba and dropped a Jagba. He's fought Bermain Stavern. He's fought Bryant Jennings. He's fought Ian Lewison. Better preparation.
Just a thought though. A lot of people did think that Nathan Gorman would give.
No, I didn't. No. Never.
And he blew him away.
Never.
So maybe Dubois does raise his game for better competition.
Gorman was cannon fodder because Gorman ducked every time he was open to the right hand. He'd drop his left hand and leave a big gap for the right hand. So he was cannon fodder, and he was terrified of Dubois he was terrified of Dubois.
Yeah, Joyce won't be. That's true.
This is what I'm saying.
But again, you see, in hindsight, we don't know how good Daniel Dubois could be.
Yeah.
Put him in front of somebody like Joyce, and if he beats him, then
I know Vlad Tsarenko has sparred both of them, and Vlad said that Dubois is still very green, and Joyce, they said they both can punch, but Joyce is far more mature and far more experienced. He says if you put the two guys in the ring, Joyce is far more experienced. So I'll go with the guy that sparred both of them.
Which is fair, yeah.
But I'll take a side bet on you anyway. I tell you what, yeah. If I win, yeah, you take me out to Jimmy Spice's, yeah, in the O2 Arena, yeah. Right, and if I lose, you still take me out to Jimmy Spice's at the O2 Arena. How's that sound?
No problem.
Yeah.
All good.
So either way, I end up at the O2 Arena eating Jimmy Spice's, yeah.
All good.
Sounds good. Sounds a good deal, right? So keys to victory for Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Let's start with Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury, I think what he should try to do at times is back Deontay Wilder up. And I think that he should use his weight, try and get in close, wrestle, lean on Wilder, um, and try and find the body every now and then. I think he should do a couple of things different to what he did in the first fight. A lot of it was, using feints outside, using the jab well. A lot of stuff you learn early in the amateurs. A lot of good straight punches. I think he needs to mix up a little bit more. I think that's maybe why he went to the Kong gym. And for Wilder, I said this after the first fight. I don't think he can look any worse than what he did. He just didn't box well at all. His timing looked completely off. He just looked disjointed at times. He can box better than that. I mean, his first fight with the main Stavern,
Yes.
he's boxing well, long range, a bit more like Mark Breland. So he's capable of doing it. Is it the style that Fury's got is completely opposite what he does? Not sure, but he needs to use his jab more. His jab more and not rely so much on that right hand. Again, same for him. Mix up his attacks, work the body, try and use stabs to the body as well, and try and set Fury up for the and try and finish on that right hand, finishing on his left. Try and get the job done.
Sounds good. Couple of other questions. What do you make of Tyson Fury wearing dark shades? I've always felt uncomfortable when boxers wear dark shades at press conferences. Your thoughts? I don't like it. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
I know sometimes some boxers just don't like to make eye contact at certain times, and they'd rather just wear shades. I know one or two boxers that sometimes they don't prefer to that. Like back in the days, I used to be at different gyms and so on. They just didn't want to make eye contact during like press conferences, or some of them just walk around with shades on anyway. But I don't really read too much into it. He sounds confident, and he must have done the right thing during training camp to prepare for this fight. He sounds ready to go. So no, I don't read too much into it.
According to some rumours, there's some stories coming out that Tyson's camp was a shambles.
I find that hard to imagine, to be honest with you. I find that hard to imagine. In a fight of this magnitude, I don't think him or his team would allow that to happen. And there's a lot of money been invested in Tyson Fury, so I don't see that. I think that's just one of those rumors that just circulate sometimes. There's no real substance to it.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if Dillian White's going to be flying out to watch the fight?
We're not going anywhere. We've got work to do. We've got work. We've got work. I try. We're basically Dillian's in the gym all the time.
But don't you think if Dillian wants this fight so much, he should be out in Vegas, sticking his nose in where it doesn't concern him, and trying to push for that fight of Wilder or Fury?
Well, I think maybe if this was the third fight and then he's supposed to be next in line, then maybe yes. But considering there might yet be another fight in between him getting his shot, no, I think he needs to stay in camp. And this is a big fight. It's an important fight. He has to get this right. You know what's on the line. You lose your spot, basically. So no, not at this stage.
What about the unified heavyweight champion of the world? Shouldn't he be ringside?
Yes.
Why?
We need a unified champion. We need one.
Well, should he be? Should Joshua be there ringside? Fight
I
night.
think it would have been good. I think because he's got the other belts, I think it would have been good. I think it would have been good. I think it would have been good timing. If there's no pressure on Joshua right now, he had a nightmare early last year, and then picked it back up again. And there's no reason why he wouldn't go to a fight that magnitude. I mean, you've got the belts. I mean, you've got a fight scheduled, yes, but you know the one that you really want is one of those two.
Is that the one? Do you really believe he wants the Wilder fight? Do you truly believe in your heart of hearts he wants to fight Wilder?
I find it's hard for me to hard for me to say that a boxer's scared of another boxer. It's just hard. I think maybe
It's
you're
not even. It's
biased by
not
your team,
so
but
much.
fighters generally just like to fight. I don't think Joshua's scared of anyone. Honestly, I don't think so. I think he's done enough to suggest that he's not scared of anyone.
Let me ask you this then. Lennox Lewis, when he was champion, and he would be ringside when Holyfield would fight. He'd be ringside commentating to make sure he got a shot at Holyfield. When Tyson was fighting, he'd make sure he was next. He was ringside and say he wanted Mike Tyson. Lennox was always around, on the prowl.
Hungry.
Yeah, this guy.
The lion was hungry.
Joshua's the only man I know that don't go ringside to the American fights. I don't get it.
He's got his own. He's got his own personality, his own character. He makes up his own decisions. I don't know the reason why he doesn't go. Maybe it's just not his thing. It's just not his thing.
Okay.
Every is different. Though.
What?
I don't know Joshua like that. If I see Joshua, we know of each other. So we say, always say hi to him.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't. But his character, I don't know.
It might not, I don't think it's even character. It's more. It's not a question of the man's character, more that how he's been managed in that sense. If you understand what I'm saying, like if you really wanted that heavyweight championship of the world, that fight against Wilder, you'd make sure you were visible and available. Or was it the fact that when he went to America, he was so put off by the whole Wilder thing that he thought, I don't want any more of this?
I don't think he'd be fighting in America for a while. In my personal opinion, I just thought it was strange that you got the belts, got a huge following over here, you're selling out like massive arenas. I think they should come over here to come and try and take what you've got. I mean, Floyd stayed in Vegas. You had to go and try and take what you've got on his turf. I would have liked Joshua to stay here. I understand economically. I know there's a lot more money in America, but you're good here. But like I said, I don't know the reasons why guys don't go to ringside in these big fights and try and create more interest so we can get the fights that we need. I don't know. Hard one.
Let's talk about Kubrat Pulev, who told Anthony Joshua he's going to bust him up in front of his own fans. What do you make of that?
When did he say that?
I mean, he said that about a week ago. He said he's going to bust him up in front of his own fans.
Because there's so much going on with the Wilder and Fury, and then obviously then that's what's coming soon. The DILLIAN fight. Those fights are a lot more interesting to me. The Pulev fight really is taking like a back seat. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I haven't really been following the story. I didn't even know they even said anything like that. But it's hard for me to get excited about that fight. But, it's a massive opportunity for Pulev, isn't it? But he does get hit a lot.
Kubrat Pulev.
I think this is a good fight for Joshua to look exciting again, and possibly do what he did to
Povetkin.
Something similar, yeah. It's a good fight for him.
Okay, all right. Xavier, is there anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
As I say, I'll just keep everyone just keep supporting boxing. Obviously the more pay-per-view events we've got, the more people that buy pay-per-view, the more people that go to boxing shows, keep the sport alive. The guys are like big fights are happening now. You guys are fighting each other. We should get a big unification fight this year in the welterweight division as well. Hopefully we get to unify the heavyweight title soon. So, people always complain that certain fights are not being made, but when you've been around as long as we have, you understand that a lot of these fights are built. They do take time. Even Leonard and Hearns, and Leonard and Hagler, it does take time. It will happen. Might not happen when you want it to happen, but it
will happen.
It will happen, yeah.
Finally, Canelo versus Saunders.
I would not be against Canelo right now. I think there's Floyd Mayweather, and I think there's Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, and everybody else. Canelo to me is the next one. I don't see anybody beating Canelo right now.
What about Canelo versus Charlo?
Charlo. I think he beats Charlo. And the problem is that you have to now beat Canelo convincingly. Canelo could win 5 rounds and he's going to get a victory.
That's true.
It's going to be, if you don't stop him, you know, he's worth a hell of a lot of money.
Charlo versus Andrade.
I worry about Demetrius.
So do I.
Because I think he's being pushed to the back of the line, and other fighters are getting a chance to perform on the big stage. And I think by the time he gets there, I don't think he'll have the same experience everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he'll quite look the same. Mm-hmm. I think he's capable of beating any of them.
Including Charlo?
I think he's capable of beating any of them. I think his skill set is unbelievable. But again, these guys are, you know, they're headlining shows and getting used to being on the big stage, whereas he's always taking the back seat. Now, when he does get his opportunity, is he going to be able to rise to the occasion? That's going to be the question.
Interesting.
We all know he's good. Everyone knows how good he is. But you've got to perform under the bright lights.
Okay. All right. Xavier Miller, once again, thank you so much for talking to BWTM Sports and Gaming.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Always.
Anytime.
A pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you post-fight.
Definitely.
Take care, champ. All the best. Bye-bye. There you have it. Xavier Miller talking to BWTM Sports and Gaming. Stick with us. We may have another person on the line. See you soon.